Living in an oil and gas superpower with a claim to world leadership is not easy. For example, residents of some settlements in the Omsk region, where there is not even drinking water, will tell you about this. And near Vologda, pensioners are forced to take out a loan for firewood. I took this loan from the postal bank, 80,000 rubles, to buy firewood, several cars of firewood. Then we took another loan, well, to live, and we spent that loan too, for firewood and to buy some clothes, all 80,000 rubles. And this is no exception. Due to the budget deficit, the Kremlin is cutting social benefits. This is especially true of Putin's national projects, global campaigns that made him a rating. This, according to data from open sources, funding will be reduced for healthcare by 17%, education except for the so-called patriotic education by 7%, housing and the urban environment by 10%, ecology by 17%, and digitalization of the economy by 35%. In order to cover the over-expenditures for the war against Ukraine, they even started using the National Welfare Fund. Over the years, oil and gas windfall profits have been put into it, and a reserve for a rainy day has been formed. In July, a dark day came. By the 23rd year, 40% of the fund has already been spent, and according to experts, all these expenses are recovered for corruption schemes.
Part of the money went to transfers to the regions. Part went to compensation for infrastructure projects, the so-called investment allowance. Part went to maintain the stability of the ruble, because they treat this whole story solely as their pocket money, and this is generally the property of officials. And in authoritarian regimes, or to be more precise, in the feudal regime in which we are now in Russia, this is a must-have.
However, the usage of these reserves does not mean at all that for ordinary Russians, life will at least stop getting worse. In the current situation, the Kremlin does not spend money only for the security forces and propaganda, and basically they are mixed together. Here, for example, the Volgograd policemen are marching in the form of the Soviet NKVD, and here Samara school children are reconstructing the Battle of Kursk. 2 million rubles was spent on this reconstruction. According to political scientists, such a distribution of resources should not be surprising.
If the police disappear in Germany tomorrow, the state will not fall apart. Or in Ukraine, or in France. Yes, there will be riots and an increase in crime, lots of negatives, but the state will remain. And if tomorrow the police, the Rosguardia, the repressive apparatus of Moscow disappear in Russia, then everything begins to unravel at the seams. That is why the security forces in Russia will always be in a privileged positions, both in terms of financial security and in terms of indulgence, for breaking the law, for repression and violence against citizens.
The Russian budget for this year has spent a record amount of money on the security services. More than a third of all spending will go to the military and police, and another quarter of the budget is classified. According to experts, this part also applies to the power unit. Reported by Dana Kolesnik, Danilo Kobza, UATV News.